Okay, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm Michael, and this is my wife Tina, and we are also known as Better Yourself 365.
Again with a t-shirt.
I have my t-shirt on. Yes, we have a whole bunch of them. Thanks again for joining us. It's something we do every week, and we talk about something that's related to what it is that we do in Better Yourself 365. So we have essentially two different parts of Better Yourself 365. One of them is on developing relationships, and they could be relationships with your partner or relationships with your kids, in particular teens, because that's the age that our kids are at. And the other part about our business is bettering your health. Mm-hmm. And that's another piece, and we alternate back and forth each week, between those three different pieces of our company. So that's kind of what we do. Today we're going to be talking about relationships with your kids, and in particular, Tina's example is going to be about working with one of our teenage boys. And it's a really interesting topic, actually. Tina and I usually process things a lot before we get started here, but today we're going to be talking about the importance of keeping your relationship solid with your kids by taking responsibility of your part in some kind of negative interaction with them. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways that can go, and essentially what we want to talk about today, and through Tina's example as a way to kind of create conversation, is owning the part that we play in that, and initiating a conversation with our teenage child, whoever it is for you, and creating an environment for them to see a model of how you want the interaction to go. So rather than sitting down and going, why did you do that? It's more of a taking responsibility for our part and sitting down and owning up to that and creating an environment and softening in that and creating an environment for them also to do the same with us. And in Tina's example, it had a beautiful ending, so this is why we're going to use this example, because it had a happy ending.
Happy ending, but it didn't have a good start.
Didn't have a happy start. That's how it works.
Right, this is why I'm using it, because it shows that we're going to have this miscommunication, these arguments with our kids, just like we do with our partners, and we keep saying that with our couples too, It doesn't matter the argument itself, it matters how you repair, how you came back from it, and it's always the key piece, right? And if you can come back from it in a particular way, and you're ready for that, you're calm, you're prepared, then the impact is usually pretty positive, which is what we'll talk about.
Yeah, and it's a good point, honey, because the stuff that we talk about in relationship work with our kids is the same skills as the relationship with our partner, because we're talking about emotionally focused work. That this is what we do as therapists, and it's the same cycle with our kids as it is with our spouse, as it is with our friends, as it is with everybody. And so the kind of the skills that we've learned on how to deal with those pertain to kids and spouse and mother and everybody, because it's all emotionally based, and that's usually things that get us activated is the emotional piece, and usually that's the thing that also reconnects us is the emotional piece.
Yes, and it's what helps promote change. Like once our kids or our partners can see the emotion underneath the behaviors maybe that usually they just get to see, which the behavior is often more negative, then they start to understand you better and want to change their reactions to you or their interactions with you as well. They come along with you and work on it, which is what happened with our son in the example that I'll give. So, want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, sure. So before Tina starts, just wanted to say if there's any questions, please put in the comments, and we'll try to address those at the end.
Yes.
And this is going to be total about 15 minutes just so you could time it out for yourself. So that's usually how long we try to keep these.
Yeah, and make comments along the way if you wish. We see them coming up, so we might notice some as you go along. So the example that happened for me was with one of my sons, and it was a rule that he had broken, one of our rules around electronic uses. So if there's anybody that has the same challenges as we do with electronics, maybe you'll empathize with this. But
every teenage parent on earth has Okay.
And through COVID, it's gotten worse. So we had this rule, and basically the rule gave them 3 chances to follow our rules around electronics, and otherwise they get a strike after three chances, and the strike means they lose their electronics for the rest of the week. So if they get their 3 strikes by Wednesday, well, too bad, they lose their electronics until Sunday. And if they just get their 3rd strike by Sunday, well, they just get it lost for that rest of the day. So it's not as big of an impact. So we really try to work with them to try to educate them around the use of electronics in a good way. We try not to take it all away, and but have them have a healthy relationship with it, where they don't start the day off with that, and they get ready before, and that kind of stuff. Anyways,
setting some boundaries around it, which we think are moderate.
Yeah, and these are our values, and every parent has their own rules around that, and so maybe some don't have any. For us, it was important to have it, but I'm giving you this context because what happened is that I probably was at 4. He had passed his 3 chances that weekend. I think it was a Wednesday or something. So here he was again. I was going to give him. He was there. I saw he was distracted by his electronics. He was in front of the computer watching something, and we had to leave in 20 minutes. He was not showered. He was not ready to go, and I was bringing him to something that he was doing. I can't remember what it was, but anyways. So I gave him the 20-minute warning. I said, we have to leave in 20 minutes. I didn't say anything more than that, just so you know, you need to get ready. And he wasn't coming along. So here, normally, I would have just given him another strike because he's not following the rules of getting ready before. But I gave him another chance. I gave him the 20-minute warning, and then I had to say it to him again because I didn't really want to give him another strike because you're trying to teach him some responsibility.
Yeah.
And, and they're getting older, and you want to give them a little bit more faith in their process of figuring things out themselves. Anyhow, but I was kind of angry with it because here I was giving him another chance, but he wasn't even acknowledging me, nothing. He was just kind of zoned in on the TV, and so I got angry, and I told him, here I am giving you a chance, and you're not recognizing it. Anyways, I lost it. And so he gets up, and he doesn't say anything, shuts down, no acknowledgement, anything. He goes, does his thing. He comes back in time, we weren't late to our thing, so he comes back in time, so we should be pretty good. And I told them, you do this another time, you are getting your 3rd strike for the week. That's it. And I was going to do it. If, I was decided to do it. It's still no acknowledgement, no nothing. And so my anger kept there. It just wasn't a nice conversation. I was still angry, dropped him off, came back home, and I was still angry. And this is when I started to shift things, right? Because even though technically I'm sure he would have forgotten about this conversation, and I technically could have forgotten about it too, and most times maybe that's what parents do, and I know I've done that too at times, we don't come back. But when we try to, that's the first thing I did, is I noticed I was still lingering. This anger was still lingering with me. I didn't like the fact that there was no acknowledgement on his part, that I've been trying to really give him a chance and really work with him, and he wasn't acknowledging that. And then the other part of me thinks, I should have just given him a strike and have it done. Show him who's the boss, right? You want to do that as a parent sometimes.
Yeah.
The disciplinarian role that we play. But I started to think, okay, so why am I angry? Okay, so he didn't acknowledge. There's no apology. There is no kind of saying, okay, yeah, Mom, I've been really distracted with this lately. I'm going to work better at that. This is why I've been distracted. No conversation like that. And I thought, why is that? Why wasn't that happening? And then I started thinking, okay, so he's a teenager. I remembered, I guess, or I what's the word I'm looking for?
Not sure.
I reminded myself,
Okay.
I reminded myself he doesn't have those skills yet, right? He doesn't
Prefrontal
know.
cortex is still being established in teenagers for boys until 25.
So we still have a long way to go?
For me, I'm just now fully forming it, and I'm 51. So it took a little longer.
Oh, there we go. But so I had to remind myself that he doesn't have that. Yeah. So it helped me soften myself and say, okay, so what's my role as a parent? I need to teach him how to do that. And how am I going to teach him how to do that? By just explaining the impact this is having on me.
By showing him.
Showing him,
Yeah.
going back.
Modeling.
And first thing I did going back is I acknowledged my part. I said I got angry, and it didn't have to be that way. That's my job as a parent, to have a conversation with you without getting angry. So I thought about it after, so I'm modeling this to him, right? I thought about this after. I didn't like how it ended. I didn't like how our conversation was. We didn't have much of a conversation. It was just me being angry at you. And I said, that must not have been pleasant for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that kind of softened it for him too. And we were driving on the way back from when I went to get him, so that helps as well, right?
He's getting them trapped in the car usually is good.
Yeah, he knows it's also not going to be too long, so he stays there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some cars there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Golly. Yeah, it's nice to know people are relating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the way back, so I was telling him what I had to do to kind of process my own thing, and how I didn't feel good about what had happened between us. I was telling him how I started to understand more why I kept angry, even though we had finished the conversation. And I told him is because when somebody's angry, or when there's a miscommunication or something, like you're not happy with what the other person did, the other person has to do something to help make amends with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I was telling him, like, okay, so this is what I would have needed from you. Acknowledging what I was saying. Like, did it resonate with you? Was it true what I was saying? Or was there some sort of answer you could give me, like explanation as to why you were being distracted in that moment, or
Mm-hmm.
or what you were going to be doing, and so, to make it better next time or whatnot. And so he got that. He was just like, okay, yeah. I said, that's what I do to you when you're upset about something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, that's what Papa does with me. And I was telling him, like, that's what we need to give each other when we're trying to repair, when we're trying to make amends or make something better. So it was eye-opening for him, and also I then followed up with, so tell me what makes that hard for you to do that in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really kind of just trying to understand it without judgment. I wasn't kind of pointing the finger at everything he did wrong in those moments, because I was very calm at that point.
Yeah, and you weren't going in demanding an apology.
No,
that wasn't your intention of it. Your intention was just to like talk about it in a calm, soft manner.
Mm-hmm.
So you softened first, and then it's really hard.
And I apologized.
And you apologized. You did all of those things. It's really hard for him to stay angry in that moment. Like it's just human nature that you would also soften along with that.
Yeah.
Not always, but oftentimes, and obviously in this case he did too.
Yeah, and I also told them it's normal as a teen to not know how to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even said, Mama sees like couples in my office that are adults and they still haven't learned how to do this stuff because
Mm-hmm.
nobody taught them.
Yeah.
So it's really normal. And so
Yeah.
that helped him too. So I said, I'm just going to work with you, when on these things as it comes up, so that you get better at it, and you can get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting, the conversation, but what I remember most is how it ended, because it's like the relationship, you could feel it, because before, the rest of the day when it just had happened and I drove him to his thing, there was tension. We weren't really talking, and after this conversation, we got home and he started, like, you could tell he was really warm with me, and he was just like, he actually started to have a conversation around, he knew I was going shopping. He's like, oh, well, I can tell you there's this part of you've been really working hard at decorating this part of the house, Mom, but this part here is kind of still pretty old-fashioned. What about decorating this part? Which is not something, he was trying to gauge me.
Yeah.
And you could tell he was just feeling closer to me, and I was feeling closer to him.
Yeah, that's right.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Good job, honey. Sounds like you did a real good job.
So car is the best. Yes, it's a great place to talk.
Yeah, all good conversations happen in the car.
Yeah.
So it's a great example of how a lot of repairs go, and we talk about repairs in our course and our weekend retreat. But we kind of come up with this little analogy, or not analogy. What's the
CPR?
Yeah, CPR. So it's like you notice you have a fight, an acronym, right? You have a fight, you have to calm. So it's a CPR method. C is for calm. P is for prepare. So that means you kind of process yourself. What happened? I need to own what I need to own, and then the R part is to go in and do the repair.
Right.
And that really happened well there because you did it, and I think he maybe was calmer too. So when you're both calm and you both enter the relationship that way, like when you have two people calm, things go much better because that's the opposite of how it ended last time.
Right. Well, he wasn't angry. He just shut down.
He just shut down.
That's just what he does.
But
right?
shutdown is not calm.
No.
So shutdown is the opposite of calm. So you might be low energy, but your brain, you're not open.
Yeah.
You are closed. So after you went in and you were the vulnerable one, you went first. Someone has to initiate, and you did, and then you open up this possibility for him to come out of shutdown. So really, it's about three things, and we had talked about this beforehand. One is checking in on yourself to make sure you understand what's going on. Oh, I'm escalated. I need to calm. 2, you calm down. Then 3, you initiate the repair with your teenage whoever, and you model for them what it is, the behavior that you wish it would be, and prioritizing the relationship as the goal. Not, I want this person to think this, or I want them to apologize to me or anything. It's prioritizing the relationship.
How can I get out of there and feel good about the connection with my son? And it starts with me apologizing for the anger that took place. And not that we give them like clean slate, that there was no justification for some of the anger, because we came back to that. But I first needed to acknowledge that part, and that helps him be open to the conversation. Yeah,
because you still needed a tough conversation.
Yeah.
But you needed to set the groundwork for that in advance. Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Good job. So well, thank you very much. And before we go, we did want to give you a bit of a to-do thing. We always give a bit of homework at the end of these. So pay attention to an interaction you have with maybe one of your own kids or even your partner. And if there's a negative interaction, those 3 things that we talked about, which is tuning into yourself and doing a check-in, how am I doing, and getting yourself to a place of calm, and then going and initiating that repair with the goal of prioritizing a relationship, not with the goal of, I need to win this argument, or I need them to say something to me nice, or whatever it is. But the goal is the relationship itself. But it always starts with us. We have to go first. And when both partners understand that they have to go first, like Tina and I have learned to do over the years, our repairs all happen automatically now. It's just assumed that they're going to, and we have a strategy to use. But when it comes to teenagers, they don't know that yet, so we need to be the ones that go first.
Right, because it's not their responsibility as a teenager
it's not.
to go first. It's the parents' responsibility.
That's right. They don't take care of us. It's a one-way street. Yeah. We're there for them, so we have to go first.
But it's still okay to still have an argument, just like it is with your partner, because that's life, and we're just human. But going back in the way that we're saying here is really, really the key.
Yeah, and it's our job to be the ones with our kids that go back.
And I think there's a respect that builds with that too on both parties. The that was part of what I was feeling after with our son.
Yeah.
That there's a respect there, and having had that conversation in the way that we did it. So
and once you go get a couple of them, they actually start to get easier now because the other party, the other person knows how this is going to go. Okay, the last 2 times we did it, it went okay. Okay, let's invest some time and energy into this because perhaps it'll go well. Okay,
so that's it. So inspired. Thanks for all the comments. It's nice to see parents have the same kind of, like the rules are needed, and at the same time we need to have those conversations. So thanks for the comments. And those who don't know more about our services, visit our website at www.betteryourself365.com. And we also have a private Facebook group, in case you're not on there already, where we talk about how to better your relationships with your partner mostly, but we also talk about your relationship with your teenagers in there. So if you want a little bit more, it's in the comments above. The link is there. You can ask to join our group, and we'll let you in.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and have yourself a great week, and we'll see you in 7 days.
Yes. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.